What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to a different perspective. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for your boy, because right now we're dropping gems on the daily. So people have been reaching out to me left and right asking, am I going to talk or speak on this whole situation with Fresh and Fit, Abba and Preach, so on and so forth. And to be honest, I didn't think I was going to do so. And let me explain why. See, I've been sitting on the sidelines paying attention to all of this stuff, from what Abba and Preach has to say, Fresh and Fit, some of the other people within the YouTube community. And something that I noticed, that there were a lot of smaller content creators that before was struggling to get 100 views. Now all of a sudden they're getting tens and thousands of views because they've been talking about and reacting to this whole beef, this whole drama, all this controversy that's been going on between Fresh and Fit, Abba and Preach, so on and so forth. And I'm just sitting here watching all these channels that really are emerging out of nowhere get all these views and get put in the position to be in the YouTube monetization program when they were nowhere near that before. The subscriber counts are going up, and it's almost like they're just clout chasing to me. That's how I felt. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna sit over here, do my own thing. I'm not trying to clout chase off of this beef, so I'm just gonna let it be. So like I said, I had no intentions on doing or covering any of this beef between the Fresh and Fit guys. But then I saw this whole thing with Ayande, I believe that's the cat's name, Ayande, that kind of pulled up on them while they were in the middle of a live stream. And seeing that whole thing unfold had me think back to the time where I went down there for their 100,000 subscriber special, and how at that time Ayande was still within the mix, but that time that I was down there is when they decided to part ways with him. So I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and get on here and give my thoughts and opinions and perspective on what I saw in regards to that situation, my thoughts and opinions on the whole thing between Fresh and Fit, Abba and Preach. I'm probably even going to speak on my thoughts about their content as a whole. So this video is not to shame, attack, or come after anybody at all. This is just going to be me adding a perspective that some of you guys may not have heard or not even considered, right? So let's dive into it. First and foremost, when it comes to the way that I judge people characters initially, has to do with two things. One, how you treat me, and two, how I see you treat others. Now, from the jump, when I exchanged contacts with the people over there at the Fresh and Fit podcast, from me initially meeting them, having little conversations with them over the phone, to going down there to Miami and hanging out with them, I received nothing but the utmost respect from them. They made sure that my needs were taken care of. I never had to want for anything. I never had to come out of pocket for any food. They made sure that I was fed. They respected my time by continuously letting me know over and over how much they appreciated having me down there on their show. They let me come on the show and speak and tell my story. They didn't disrespect me in any way or manner. And because of that, I appreciated them. I felt like I personally had a positive experience. Now there's the other aspect of how I judge character, which is how I saw them treat others. Now look, I know I'm saying judge characters. Look, I'm no high being, I'm nobody special, but at the same time, all humans place some type of judgment upon people so that we know who it is that we're dealing with. Point blank simple. So mind you, I was down there for their 100,000 subscriber special and party. And with that, they had invited a bunch of their own fans, viewers, Patreon supporters to come down there and hang out and party with them. So as a content creator myself, I'm sitting back and I'm being aware of how it is that they're treating their supporters and the people that have gotten them to the position that they're in now. And for the most part, they did a fairly decent job. There were some things that could have been done better, and I'm going to be talking about those things, but for the most part, they did a decent enough job. They were attentive to their viewers, to subscribers, and supporters. If any of them had any questions, they were more than willing to answer them for them. But the part that could have been done better, and this is when Ayande gets into the mix of the story, is when it came down to the party itself. So after we did the live stream podcast with the girls and me, we went down to the location to where the party was going to be. Some of the girls from the podcast came down to the party with us, and some of them drifted off and did their own thing. So as we get there, the subscribers, the girls, Fresh Fit, there wasn't a whole lot going on. We had all just showed up, and just kind of found a place to where we can conjugate and just have conversations about the experiences that we're having thus far. And as we're waiting around, we're noticing that there wasn't a whole lot of girls that were pulling up to the show. And as time went on, some of the girls that came from the podcast decided that they were going to leave because the party wasn't really popping, right? So I'm sitting there and talking to the subscribers and supporters of the Fresh and Fit podcast. We're all noticing how Fresh and Fit are just kind of like gone. We don't really know where they are. Maybe they were posted up outside, but they wasn't really in the mix with us like we thought they would have been. And the few times that Fresh and Myron did, come in and out of the party, making appearances, it's clear that they upset about the fact that Ayande has yet to pull up with these girls. Mind you, earlier throughout the day, as I'm hanging out with Fresh and Myron, and we're just wandering around Miami, hitting the streets and whatnot, they will be on the phone, they'll be in contact with this guy Ayande, and I think I'm saying his name right. It's pretty clear that things aren't really going as they're hoping it's gonna go when it comes to him pulling up with these girls that I guess that he promised or they paid him to bring to the party. So going back to the party, the supporters and I hear from Fresh and Fit that the girls are not pulling up. Ayande hasn't done his job. So there comes a point where I'm talking to the viewers and they're pretty much like, hey man, at this point, it doesn't even matter that the girls are here. Really, we want to be down here hanging out with this channel that we support so much. So we wish that these guys, Fresh and Fit, would at least just be with us and just hang out with us. And that was something that the viewers actually addressed to Fresh and Fit. They're like, hey, you guys, look, it's cool. The girls aren't here, but y'all are kind of in and out all over the place. Like at this point, we just want to hang out with you guys. We came here to support y'all. Congratulate you guys on hitting 100,000 subscribers. Can't we just hang out with you all? And Myra was like, you know what? You guys are right. We apologize. We're sorry that this whole thing is not going as planned, but tomorrow we're going to be attentive to you guys. We go back to the studio, just hang out in there and talk. Whatever questions you guys have, cool, we'll sit there and answer them and just spend some time with you all. So I looked at that situation. I'm like, all right, cool. They're being accountable for not only what they were doing wrong, but for this whole situation in its entirety. So we did just that. The next day, we pulled up to the studio. We all sat there at the table that you guys see when y'all look at their podcast, and we talked. All the viewers, all the subscribers, me being the guest on the show, we sat there and talked about whatever for however long we talked about it for. A few hours had went by. Later on that day, we ended up going out. They treated us to dinner at this nice restaurant, and we was all sitting there cracking jokes and having a good time. So for the most part, and I speak for myself, but I think I could speak for a lot of subscribers that came out there as well and say that we had a pretty decent experience being out there. We left with a positive outlook on what it was that they were doing and what it was that they were trying to build. Now, fast forward to today where we're seeing this beef between Fresh Fit, Abba, and Preach. Simply put, the way that I felt Fresh and Fit handled that situation was childish, immature, uncalled for, and disrespectful. How they were sitting there boasting and bragging about having more views, making more money than Abba and Preach, growing fast on YouTube, and how they were saying that they were better than them was extremely immature from my perspective. No one is better than anyone. No one is immortal. No one is more human than anyone else. We all have flaws. And to say that you are better than anyone is a clear indication that you are flawed. Now, going back to the time that I hung out with them and the experience that I had, did I see some things from Fresh and Fit that I disagree with? Sure I did. Did I see certain ways of moving that I myself wouldn't move? Of course I did. But I put that down as being a part of this Miami lifestyle and this persona that they was trying to put off to the world. And I know y'all might want me to go a bit deeper into what I meant by that, but no, it's not necessary. It didn't matter to me then and it don't matter to me now. But now, bringing this video to an end, like I said in the beginning, let me give my overall perspective on what I think about their content as a whole. Do I think that some of the things that they say on there are very toxic and can be outdated ways of thinking? Yes. Do I think that some of the stuff that they have shared on their podcast, on their platform, is beneficial to helping men and women alike? Yes. Do I think the good outweighs the bad? It's probably about 50-50. And what I mean by that is what I've seen the channel look like it has developed to is pure entertainment. You're having these women on here that clearly don't have the best mindset. Some of them aren't the brightest. Majority of them aren't the brightest. and you're having these conversations with them, the same conversations repeatedly over and over and over, trying to get through to these young girls that may or may not ever understand this stuff, getting them upset with the potential of being Frank Castle and getting kicked off the show. It's almost like it has become a reality show. And from the jump, and this is not to shit on what they have going on at all, this is just my honest opinion, something that I thought about that I actually wanted to address to them when I went down there. And I might have, it could have happened when we was driving around in the streets of Miami. I might have said this to them, I don't remember. It may come a point in time where what they're doing were getting stale. And this was my honest thought and opinion before they hit 100,000 subscribers. Before I went down there, I thought about this. It might come a point in time with what they were doing would get stale. The conversations are the same, but the girls are different. Hell, some of the girls are the same. They keep bringing back some of the same girls on the show. The conversations are the same. The information is the same. They're just sharing it to new faces. And what I've seen happen is as more and more of the drama occurs, their channels start to rise in viewership and subscribers, because more Frank Castles, more drama with some of these females. And let's be honest, we know people love drama, which is part of the reason why 100 other YouTube channels have skyrocketed talking about the drama between Fresh and Fit and Abba and Preach. And going back to that for a second, I feel like Abba and Preach handled that with class. They did a very good job with how they dealt with that beef. Shout out to them for that. But with me feeling like, and I'm not the only one, I know a lot of you guys have felt the same way, I got to a point where I no longer was watching their videos because it was the same thing over and over again. But it didn't change the fact that their channel was still growing at a rapid succession. Part of the reason had to do with the fact that there were just new people that was coming in and seeing what it is that they were doing. I'm pretty sure, just like with me, a good amount of you guys as well probably got to a point where you'd be like, you know what, I'm kind of over it. It's the same thing every single night, just different faces. You know what, maybe I could take a step back from watching this. Maybe I'll check out the Clips channel every now and then to see what chick they Frank Castle, right? Like I said, the channel continued to grow because there was new faces watching these females getting Frank Castle and whatnot. And I'm no one to knock another man's success. I still wish them all the best in all their endeavors. But I'm gonna be honest when I say some of the stuff that they say on that show can be very, very toxic. And as men, if we don't be cautious of some of these things that we're consuming on a daily basis when it comes to information that can get fed into our subconscious mind, if we don't be cautious of that stuff, it can make us move in the same manner as the stuff that we're viewing and watching. I once heard someone say that if you're studying someone that you admire, you got to be able to sift through the good information that they deliver from the bullshit. Because I fear that a lot of their viewers that may have little experience or negative experience with women may sit there and view that the information that the podcast is delivering is right and beneficial to them entirely, even the toxicity. Because the narrative that is being pushed is that it puts them in a masculine frame without them calling it toxic. But it's clear as day, if you live in the real world, it's clear as day that you can see that some of the stuff that we're saying could be a bit toxic. And I'm not talking about toxic masculinity, because as we know, toxic masculinity isn't a thing. It doesn't exist. Toxic is toxic. But what looks like pandering to an audience may not feel like pandering when you have become emotionally attached to the information at hand. You have to be mindful of that and be decisive when it comes to sifting through good and bad information. But anyway, you guys, that's all I got to say. I know some of y'all might have came here, watched this video, still trying to figure out whether or not you want to support them or not support them. That's on y'all. I do feel that as grown men, they are capable of seeing the error in their ways, making the necessary adjustments when they see what wrong they have done, become better people from that, because we're all learning, we're all growing, we're all fucking up here and there. I've done things that I had to take back. I'm pretty sure I will continue to do things in the future that I will have to take back. We're constantly moving throughout life and hopefully growing and becoming better individuals. They leave a very nasty taste in my mouth in regards to how they handled that whole situation with Preach and Alba, most certainly. But do I think that they're being genuine when it comes to their apologies and how they're handling the situation moving forward? To be honest, not at this time, but do I think that they're capable of continuing to get better? Sure. But like I said, I wish everybody that's been involved in this mess the best of luck. Hope y'all get past all this bullshit and be able to come out on top of it bigger and better men. And hopefully with the podcast, they'll be able to freshen it up a bit, bring in some new thoughts, ideas, and concepts that might get me back to tuning into them. But hell, only time will tell, But anyway, y'all know what time it is. Like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for more. As always, you can follow your boy on the gram and Twitter at Artofkickz. And I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. See ya.